Welcome to Codex, a history of video games. My name is Tyler Osby.
And I'm Mike Coletta.
And this week, we're getting to some a little bit more modern, a little bit more contemporary game systems. This one is discontinued and has been discontinued for about 2 years now. But we're talking about the Wii U today.
Yeah, here comes the Wii U. So first, though, we got an email.
Oh, we got an email?
Yeah, we got mail. It's exciting. It's just like Blue's Clues. Matt
It's
from
just
Japan.
like that Meg Ryan movie. Tom Hanks.
Exactly. Matt is our Tom Hanks, and Tyler and I are both Meg Ryan. And so in Matt's email, he has a correction/clarification that I thought was very important from last week, from the Wii episode specifically. So he says, quote, "While the Wii and the DS both used friend codes for online play, the difference was the DS used friend codes for each individual game. For example, if we wanted to play Mario Kart with each other, Tyler, you and me, like friends do, you'd have to share your Mario Kart friend code. If we wanted to trade or battle Pokemon in, say, Pokemon Platinum, we would have to share our Pokemon Platinum specific friend code." And
Holy moly.
Yeah, so this begs the question, would Mike... Oh, this is back to the quote. Sorry, I kind of started paraphrasing in the middle of it. I'm real bad at this. Let's do it. This is from Matt asks, this begs the question, would Mike write all his DS friend codes on a single business card, or would he write each DS friend code on separate business cards? And I have thought about this, Matt. Thank you for emailing, first of all. I would have a business card with all my games on it for close friends that I would give, say, Tyler or you, Matt, in this case, okay? But for Pokemon, I would have a bunch of them, because that's the one where you need to get those trading on. I don't care about racing in Mario Kart. You know, I want to race with Mario Kart with friends. Pokemon, though, you got to get those trades. But now I just go on Reddit, obviously, and find a trading group or whatever.
Yeah. I just did that yesterday, actually. I'll talk about it when we talk about what we've been playing this week.
Ooh, I'm excited. So, yeah, thank you so much for the email, Matt. That's very nice of you to say. And I'm a good clarification.
I had forgotten just how bad this was for Nintendo. Like, they had to try to make it this bad.
Yeah, man, we're going to talk. I mean, it comes up in the Wii U when we talk about it, but their online service and their whole friend thing in general, it's a kerfuffle, I think is the appropriate word to say. So let's talk about the Wii U. It's first important to note that the Wii U is considered the first in the 8th generation of game consoles. That's considered with the Xbox One and the PS4. But we're including it now because the Nintendo already has another console, Switch. I think everyone knows that is talking to us or listening to this right now. But the Wii U's lifespan ranged from 2012 to 2017. So it is discontinued, so we can talk about it.
It's donezo.
That's our
now.
rule. Yeah, it's completely donezo. So you could argue that it was donezo as early as 2013. We'll talk about that later. So the system was first conceived in 2008 and was Nintendo's response to the general public thinking the Wii was primarily for, quote, casual gamers, you know? Tyler, are you a casual gamer? I don't consider you a casual gamer.
I play casually and I play hardcore-ly. I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive.
I don't think so either. I think it depends on the game. I 100% agree with you. Nintendo, though, wanted to bring the Wii U out so they could get the core gamers back. So game designer and general Codex History of Video Games superstar Shigeru Miyamoto said, quote, "But one of the key reasons that such things are at the core and the casuals exist today is that we decided not to adopt HD on the Wii console. Of course, besides that there are many because that there are things like issues with the controller and the challenges that it brings, network functionalities, and many other things. But I think HD was the biggest factor that everyone was able to clearly understand the difference." So I think he's saying, like, the Wii U didn't push all the graphic stuff like we talked about when we talked about the Wii. No, sorry. The Wii didn't push all the graphic stuff that Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 was doing. And he even admits essentially that that's why they didn't have those core gamers. Because core gamers are all about graphics, you know, which I think, good gameplay can definitely, I don't care about graphics. Look at Minecraft, for example. But I think... Yeah, I think he has a point that's why they didn't really have a lot of success on the Wii with people that were really hardcore gamers. And the Wii U, they're trying to fight that. So this goes back also to the whole thing where the Wii is essentially being a slightly souped up GameCube with motion controls, which is what it was. So Nintendo wanted this audience back just so much, just to show you how much they care, and they went into the Wii U, like how much time and effort went into it. Nintendo had a lot of brainstorming sessions and debates about what this console should be, and they actually ended up restarting from scratch a couple times, which I thought was crazy. Like, they have an idea and they work on it and they're like, nah, let's scrap that. So they did that a couple times with the Wii U. That's how badly they wanted to get it right. So I actually have a small Miyamoto tangent I want to go on, and I don't know if we touched on this in a past episode, but I was reading an interview where he talked about the Wii U, and he mentioned this about Mario and why Mario looks the way he does. So this is a quote from Shigeru Miyamoto. This is just a side tangent. I thought it was cool, and I didn't want to forget it, so I included it in this episode. Is that okay with you, Tyler?
Yes, that is okay.
So, quote, "The story of creating Mario goes all the way back to the Donkey Kong days. With the technology back then, you had a very limited palette in which you were able to draw a character. If you look at the original Mario face, you had just 7 pixels to draw his face. My goal within that limited palette was to create a character that was as distinct as possible. Because of that, he had some of his now distinct features, such as his big nose, or like, not the end quote, but like the mustache and all that stuff was because they just had to fit a distinct face in 7 pixels. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that in there. Okay, now back to the Wii U. So, just to show where Nintendo got some of their inspiration, the hallmark feature of the Wii U, the touchscreen in the middle of the controller, actually came and originated from the blue new message indicator light that was on the Wii U disc tray. So that's the button that gave them the idea. That. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's how you knew you had an email on your Wii, because you could send emails between Wiis.
That's so cool. I love that. You could send emails, but you couldn't talk to friends in party chat. Okay, so the screen actually just started as an idea from Miyamoto's team to have a small screen to provide feedback and status messages, kind of like the early DS used that bottom screen as just kind of a way to like show you your guy. You know, if you were playing an RPG, it would be like your inventory and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but then
depending on what you were playing.
Yeah. But then that changed into a full-blown color screen for the game after it became financially viable. It was really like the technology at the time and the money. And then as they kept working on this and like figuring it out, they're like, oh, we can afford to make this a full-blown color screen now, which is really cool. The Wii U rumors didn't start until 2010. They actually didn't start with a new console at all. People speculated the Wii was just going to be updated into a Wii HD that would be more technologically advanced and could compete with the Xbox One and the PS4. Some people even thought it would have a Blu-ray drive, which I mean,
that's kind of what the Wii U is, right? It plays all your Wii games, plays all your Wii games, plays Wii U games in HD. It has a drive that is very closely related to Blu-ray. Like, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, so they weren't
wrong. But it has that sweet controller.
That's true. The controller is what threw everyone off. I actually have a question for you. This is an opinion question.
Okay.
We're going on another tangent. There's 2 tangents I have in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, Tyler, that Blu-ray drives and DVD drives in general are outdated? Because I kind of think they are in like a console.
In a console?
Yeah.
In an area, in an age where everybody has large capacity hard drives and fast internet, which I'm not sure we're ubiquitously there, at least on the internet front. I do think they are outdated. I think that they have storage limits on them, which we're not really hitting on a lot of games yet. But they're kind of antiquated and have slow loading times, and you basically have to install games from them. From a like an audio or like an audio video standpoint, nothing beats a 4K Blu-ray. Like, you can't go on Netflix and watch Into the Spider-Verse in like, I mean, if it were on Netflix, which is not, it might be in 4K, but it's not the same like bit rate. Like, if you want the true best quality experience you can get, both audio and video, you still got to go with Blu-ray.
Oh, see, that's why I wanted to ask you about it, because I was like, let's get rid of them all, and then I'm like, you know what? Tyler knows the technological stuff about this, and I should ask him.
They need to exist for that reason, and I think that physical media will always be a step ahead of digital media. There will be a point, and we may be at that point now, where for most people, it doesn't matter, and I think we're at that point now where, like, I'm not going to buy a Blu-ray. I will just stream it. I'm for some of my favorite movies, I may still buy a 4K Blu-ray. Like I have the 4K Blu-ray for Last Jedi because, spoilers, I love that movie. I'm planning on getting the 4K Blu-ray for Into the Spider-Verse, but yeah.
That's
most
a good
other
answer.
movies I'm just going to buy on iTunes.
Yeah, you just got to watch on Netflix or whatever when they come out. Okay. That was our fun tangent. We did it. Congrats. We agree. Okay, so
Back to the Wii U.
this whole idea of it being a Blu-ray drive Wii HD was thrown asunder when both Satoru Iwata and Miyamoto shut down the idea of an HD Wii. Iwata said, why would they add it to the Wii when they could just add HD to the next console? He's like, so why would we're looking ahead? And then Miyamoto essentially said, we like HD graphics, but our primary focus is always gameplay, which is something I love about Nintendo. So I'm kind of on their side with that. But in October 2009, Miyamoto said that Nintendo had no concrete plans about its next console, but thought that the new system would continue to feature motion controls and also expected its interface to be more compact and cheaper than the Wii. Yeah. So Iwata also mentioned that the Wii successor might be 3D compatible, but concluded that the adoption rates of 3D televisions should increase to at least 30% first, which, boy, 3D TVs, that just never really caught on like they hoped it
Real
would.
flash in the pan.
Yeah, didn't really, much like our beloved music rhythm games, just shown up and disappeared before you can say hello. Really sad.
But at least there was a period of time where you could say those were successful. I don't think 3D TVs were ever successful.
Yeah, even like the 3DS, like the 3D on that. I remember so many people buying those handhelds and then just turning the 3D off.
Yep. I spent way more time with a 3D just off on my 3DS.
Yeah, so in 2010, Nintendo of America president Reggie, help on pronunciation, Tyler?
Fils-Ami.
Fils-Ami commented...
Fils-Ami.
Fils-Ami, either way, it sounds cool, commented that he felt, quote, confident the Wii Home Entertainment console has a very long life in front of it, and declared that a successor would not be launched in the near future. So I think they're shutting it down because they want people to keep picking up those Wiis. That's my thought. Is that what the Osborne effect is?
Yeah, the Osborne effect is a phenomenon that happens when a company announces their next thing, their sequel to whatever their current hardware thing is, and the anticipation for that new thing means the old thing doesn't sell very well. And in the case of the Osborne effect, it was for a computer called the Osborne. When they launched the Osborne 1, they were like, here's our great computer. It's the Osborne 1. Please buy it. But next year, we're going to have the Osborne 2. And it's going to be way better. And it's going to be way cheaper. And everybody was just like, all right, cool. Then I'll just wait for the Osborne 2 then. And nobody bought the Osborne 1. And then the Osborne 2 never came out because they never made any money off the Osborne 1. And the company went under.
Ah, that's good to know. I never knew that. I never heard the story about that.
So game companies are always, hardware technology companies are always very keen to not talk about their next thing until they're sure they're ready for it.
It's good to know. I thought Ozzy Osbourne came out with a game console, and I had no idea. So I'm glad you explained that. All right. After Nintendo's E3 2010 presentation, Iwata revealed to the BBC that Nintendo would begin announcing a new console once it ran, quote, out of ideas with the current hardware and cannot give users any more meaningful surprises with the technology, end quote. Then, later, at an investment meeting, he disclosed that Nintendo was, quote, of course studying and developing the next console to Wii, but it was also simultaneously keeping its concept secret because it was, quote, really important for his business to positively surprise people. And I think Nintendo's good at that.
Yeah, and it's silly to think that a company is not actively researching whatever their next thing is going to be. Like, it's not like, I mean, Sony knows what the PS5 is going to be like probably by now, and Microsoft knows what they're gunning for the future of Xbox. Isn't like they just dig it up out of the ground and this is the PS4. They're always working on the next thing.
Yeah, and Tyler and I, of course, already have the Jaybird Myler gaming system ready to go.
That's right.
It's in the books. We're just trying to hash out details right now. Okay, so
it's too far ahead of its time right now, and we want to make sure that we get it out, when the public is ready for it.
Yeah, and when the technology is there. So, I mean, we want to make Jaybird very much a holodeck experience. So
that's right.
So, Fils-Ami also stated that Nintendo's next home console would likely not feature stereoscopic 3D based on the 3D technology Nintendo had experimented with. So, like I said before, people don't really care about the 3DS, and they're like, we're probably going to just drop it, which I think is a great idea because it just made people's eyes hurt, Yeah. It's a bummer. So, in April 2011, an uncredited source indicated that Nintendo was planning to unveil a successor known to the Wii as the Project Cafe. That's a great
code names.
Yeah, code names. I just love me some code names. That's the whole reason we started this podcast. So, at its E3 2011 presentation, Project Cafe was claimed to be a high-def console, and it would also include backwards compatibility with Wii software. So that's just big there, because everyone loves backwards compatibility. There were also conflicting reports, though, that surrounded the console's controller. So there were two camps with the controller. One camp was, hey, it's crazy. It's got this embedded touchscreen that lets you stream games from the console directly to that screen. And people are like, there's no way that's real. They just have a GameCube controller with analog sticks and shoulder buttons and triggers. And those people were wrong, clearly, thanks to history. So then, on April 25th, 2011, Nintendo made a statement announcing a system to succeed the Wii, and it would be released in 2012, and that a playable console, would be present at E3 2011. So now the hype is real. It's happening.
All aboard.
All aboard the hype train. Choo choo. The Wii U was shown first during Nintendo's press conference at E3 2011 by Reggie Fils-Aimé, and he described a system we would all enjoy together, but also one that's tailor-made for you. So I don't really know what that means, but it sounds like a great marketing buzzline. So good on you, Reggie.
It really does.
Proud of you. So
it's for us and it's for you. Wii U.
Yeah, exactly. And E3 2011, another thing important to note is they had no games announced at this point. They were just showing off the system and the controller. That was the big thing. They didn't talk about it games. It was very secret still, very new. What's crazy about this announcement is 2 days afterward, Nintendo's stock dropped 10%.
It always happens.
Yeah, right? Because reaching the lowest level since 2006. And this was due to a lot of skepticism around that touchscreen controller. People just didn't get it. They were like, what are you doing? I don't know why you're doing this.
A lot of stock will drop after an announcement is made. The general, the word of wisdom in investment is called buy the rumor, sell the news. So it's like buy it while the rumors are kicking up and then sell when the news comes out. And so that's why stock tends to drop after an announcement is made. Unless the announcement is way better than anything anybody could have ever imagined. It will almost always drop right afterwards, which is kind of crazy. I just think it's funny.
I mean, you know what I never expected on this podcast? To hear stockbroker tips from you, Tyler, and I love it. I'm real into it. I never knew that. That's actually really interesting to know. What did you say? Buy the rumor, sell the news? Is that what it was called?
Yep.
Oh, man. You heard it here first, folks. Tyler, giving out financial advice.
That's not official stock advice. I'm not a financial advisor.
No, Tyler
do your
is
own
a
research,
CPA.
etc.
He's licensed.
That's not true.
Just start lying.
This is not true. Don't do anything I say.
They call him H&R Tyler. I don't know. Turbo Tyler. That's actually a great name. Okay. So where was I at in our notes here? Okay. Yeah. So a lot of the stock drop, people didn't get it. Final specs for the system were unveiled the next year at E3 2012. A big thing announced also at this time was the Nintendo Network, where now people would have user communication and friends lists and no more friend codes. That was the big announcement. Yeah, we're finally getting rid of the friend codes. Maybe you can have an identity on the internet on your Wii U. That would be
incredible.
Bananas to talk about. It's only a little bit late. So, once again, the Wii U would launch in North America before Japan, like the original Wii launch. And the North American launch was on November 18th, 2012. And the Japanese launch was on December 8th, 2012. So that's 20 days later. The Wii U, though, had two bundles that you could buy in North America. The first was called the Basic Bundle, and it contained a white Wii U with 8 gigabytes of storage and a white Wii U gamepad and stylus, and of course, the old HDMI cable, which is nice. But if you got that deluxe Wii U, you got a black Wii U with 32 gigabytes of storage, a black gamepad and stylus, an HDMI cable, and it added a Nintendo Network Premium subscription, the Nintendo Land game. You wouldn't get that in Japan, by the way. That was just in North America, as well as the stands for the console and a controller and a sensor bar. So you got a lot. They really
went all out.
Yeah. If you wanted that premium one, you were paying $350, $349.99. If you wanted the basic, it was $299.99.
Well,
So
only $50 more for quadruple the storage and
yeah, I feel
a
like you got to get the
game
big
and-
one.
wow.
It's like you're
Yeah.
losing money if you're not doing it because storage is a big thing at this point. I mean,
yeah, I feel like most of the Wii U's I've seen around are the black ones. I think people kind of figured it out that the white one was really not that worth.
yeah, and the system, I should note too, launched in Europe, Australia, South Africa, and that was all launched with European pricing set by retailers. I didn't know they did that in Europe. Like, so essentially they'd buy all the consoles at wholesale price from Nintendo, and then they'd set their own price, which probably, I think they did that with the original Wii also. The system launched in Japan, though, at a MSRP price of 26,250 yen for the basic set and 31,500 yen for the premium set. I don't
wonder
know.
if that's a law in Europe around like a company can't like force retailers to sell something at a specific price.
At like an MSRP kind of price.
Yeah.
We should look that up. That's actually very interesting. I've learned a lot from this podcast about just global sales in general and how that
Yeah,
works.
that seems like something they do in Europe where they'd be like, no, you can't tell us what to sell this for. And then all the shops end up selling it for the same thing, the same price.
Yeah,
anyway.
because they got to like match each other. Maybe they drop the price $1 at European GameStop. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then they're like, hey.
It's just called game there.
It's just called what? It's just called
Game.
No stopping. Always go. Okay. I was going to list a long list of bundles. I even had it in here, and I want to let you know it was very boring to read. And I think we should just talk about one bundle. And that bundle is the Wind Waker bundle, because this one was the coolest bundle of them all. The one bundle to rule them all and in the darkness bind them was the Wind Waker Wii U bundle. Correct, Tyler?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you feel about it? It had a really cool Triforce symbol on the Wii U, which was awesome. It came with an HD copy of the Wii U as a code that you would download. And this bundle increased sales of the Wii U by 200% for Nintendo.
That's nuts.
Yeah, this bundle was what made it. If the other bundles were like Wii U karaoke, which I had no idea even existed, and then they also had Europe had a bundle for Lego City Undercover. Do you remember that game? It was like Grand Theft Auto, but Legos. I thought that was
sweet.
kind of funny.
I want to play that game because I want to try to play that game before we talk about Wii U games, I think.
Oh, yeah. That game, I mean, Lego games in general are always fun, and especially fun to play with friends. Like, it's the best. Okay, now, Tyler, you want to talk about some stats real quick?
Yeah, the Wii U is pretty interesting in terms of hardware. It kind of continues the line of, so the GameCube was its deal. The Wii was kind of just more GameCube, and then the Wii U is kind of just more Wii. It's based on a PowerPC triple core processor, similar to the one that's in the Xbox 360, I think. It is codenamed Espresso. Remember Project Cafe? Yeah, so the CPU is called Espresso, and the GPU is called Latte. So they had a like coffee shop vibe going on here.
Oh, man, they missed a total marketing scheme. They could have called the first, like the bundles, they could have called the first one a Wii U Grande, and then the deluxe one a Wii U Venti. They totally missed something there. I should get hired to do marketing for Nintendo. You heard that, Nintendo?
Yeah, well, hey, Reggie's retiring, so you can be the one to take over.
I just jump into the president's seat. That's how it works, right? Totally.
Yeah. So Espresso was a 32-bit processor, and it was made using a 45 nanometer silicon on insulator process. I'm not sure what that means, but probably is pretty
technical.
Cool. The coolest thing about it, though, basically, is that it's hardware compatible with the Wii, and the GPU is also. So that made backward compatibility super easy. You pop your Wii games in, and they just work because all of the hardware is basically the same but faster. It does not have backward compatibility with the GameCube. Probably because it doesn't have GameCube ports built into it, and the adapter for GameCube controllers that would come out later wasn't out yet. So, there's not a whole lot else that's super interesting about the Wii. It's got 2 gigs of DDR3 memory, so it's
very low.
It's low, but not compared to it's low compared to the Xbox One and the PS4 because those have 8 gigs each, I want to say, off the top of my head. I know that the Xbox 360, though, only had 512 megs of RAM, and the PS3 also only had 512, split. It had 256 megs of like regular memory and then 256 megs of graphics memory. So it was significantly more powerful than the 360 and the PS3, but it couldn't hold a candle to the Xbox One or the PS4, which would make game development kind of not necessarily difficult from a technical standpoint, but difficult from a logistics and publishing standpoint, I think. I'll talk about it later when we talk about how the Wii U eventually did. But it had built-in wireless all the way up to 802.11n, and you could get a wired Ethernet adapter. I think it worked with the same one that you could get for the Wii as well. You just plug it into one of those USB ports. Had Bluetooth 4.0, had 4 USB 2.0 ports, and it had an SD memory card slot. And by this time, SD cards could go up pretty high. So if you had some high-capacity SD cards, you could use those in your 8 gigabyte Wii U if you were trying to build out more space. It supported up to 1080p on the outputs for the over HDMI, which is pretty good, way higher than the Wii, which did 480p. And it had a gamepad, which we've mentioned, but we should go into detail about how this gamepad works. So it's pretty large. It's about as big as like maybe an original iPad. The whole thing is, and it has 2 joysticks. It has a D-pad. It has your A, B, X, Y buttons, all that good stuff. But in the middle of it, it has a touch screen, and it's a resistive touch screen, which means you kind of have to use a stylus because you have to press kind of hard on it. It has 4 shoulder trigger buttons, and it has a camera built into it, so you can take a picture of yourself from the front of the Wii U thing, which not very many games used.
A selfie camera?
It had a selfie camera, and it had some built-in speakers, and it had about 3 hours of battery life, give or take. But the idea was that you would play with it, and then you would just put it in its cradle. It wasn't meant to be away from the Wii U because.
Oh, sorry. There was I don't mean to interrupt, but there was a thing I read too that they came out in Japan with a battery that was capable of you getting 5 to 8 hours of life on that gamepad.
That's right.
Which seems like a long time to be playing that gamepad, but if you're on a trip, well, no, you can't take it on the road with you.
You can't take it on a trip. So
yeah, it's not like the Switch. Sorry, you're just gonna be at home. 8 hours.
The gamepad connected to the Wii using Wi-Fi Direct, which is based on normal Wi-Fi, but it wasn't like you had to connect the gamepad to your Wi-Fi network at home or anything like that. And it would work, I want to say, probably 20 feet away, not through walls. It was like you needed to be sitting on the couch in front of your TV, pretty much. But it would stream video directly to it, really, really low latency. So games would support either playing games on the TV with something else on the screen, or all games had to support a TV mode where the Wii U gamepad could be the only way to play the game. So like if somebody else wanted to watch TV, you could play all your Wii U games on the gamepad itself. You just had to be still in the same room as the Wii U.
It's a total roommate situation game console.
Yeah. It's pretty neat though, and it worked really well. The tablet screen was kind of low resolution. I can't find an actual number on what the resolution is, but it was like sub HD. It also had a sensor bar built into it. So if you were playing a Wii game on it, you could point your Wii remote at the gamepad, and it would work just like it would if you were using a sensor bar with it on your TV.
That's really cool. Hey, I have a question for you, Tyler. Is sub HD below 720p? Is that what it is? Because HD is 720p, not 1080, right?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, so that's I never had a Wii U. Full disclosure, I bought a Wii for my girlfriend, and we played that, and then I never got a Wii U. But we'll talk about it later. But I have a soft spot in my heart for this console because I've heard so many people talk about how great it was, like how it's kind of underrated. I think, and we're gonna talk about that later. But keep going with the specs.
Oh, so the resolution of the screen was 854 by 480. So it was like widescreen 480p. So not great, but also pretty good for being on a pretty small 6.2 inch screen. It also had all kinds of accelerometers, gyroscopes, a magnetometer. It had all of the motion control things that you would need in a modern video game controller. The Wii U also had one of my favorite controllers of all time, which is the Wii U Pro controller, which didn't have the screen or anything in there. It was very much like a traditional 2 joysticks, 4 face buttons, a D-pad kind of controller. But it's very, very ergonomic. It just feels good. I just really like it. And the battery lasts like 70 hours on it. I'm not even kidding. It's like really long battery life. Yeah.
Nintendo's pretty good at that, of making their batteries last a long time. I mean, look at the original Game Boy. It was nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, and so a lot of games would allow the use of the Pro Controller, especially games that were kind of ported from the Xbox 360 or the PS3, where they weren't really made with the gamepad in mind anyway. So that worked with a lot of games. It was pretty sweet. I really like that controller, and it was standard Bluetooth, so you could use it on your computer too. So, but you could not use it on the Nintendo Switch, which was a real bummer when I got my Switch.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all for the specs, Tyler? It was good.
I think that's about it. Yeah, that's a lot of spec talk.
Welcome
back to Spec Talk.
Okay, so
Mike and Tyler.
Mostly Tyler. I'm just here to ask questions about what True HD is. So the system was discontinued because of the Switch on January 31st, 2017. Sales-wise, the system, I actually wrote that it was pretty good, and then I just looked at the Wii sales figures, and we're going to have a little comparison here. So it was good at first because they sold all 400,000 units in North America right when they produced them. Like, they sold out. But the lifetime sales of the Wii U were only 13.56 million units. Now, if you recall, last week on our Wii episode, the Wii sold 101,630,000 consoles worldwide. So definitely compared to Wii, not that great. And this system is kind of forgotten by people. And we have a couple reasons why that is. And here's what we think happened. So the first is there was a serious marketing problem. And Nintendo of America's senior product marketing manager, Bill Trinan, even admitted that Nintendo's pre-launch marketing and presentations of the Wii U focused too much on the gamepad. And this essentially confused customers. So consumers thought the Wii U was just an accessory for the existing Wii rather than a component of an entirely new console. And Trinan ensured that the future promotional material for the console, including its packaging, would emphasize both the Wii U console and the gamepad, but by then the public had kind of made up their mind, I think.
Yeah. Something that I wanted to talk about real quick is even if people thought it was just an accessory, I think it's still worth diving into why they didn't want to purchase it as an accessory. Because I don't know, it seemed at first glance could have seemed like a pretty cool accessory. But my speculation is that, well, for starters, it was a couple $100. Well, more than that, it was $350 when it first came out, which is a pretty hard sell for an accessory, if that's what people were thinking it was. Secondly, I think also by 2012, we were all pretty fatigued on accessories for consoles because we all bought a billion of them to play Rock Band and Guitar Hero and stuff like that. So people were kind of accessoried out and they didn't really want to buy accessories. And I think its value proposition wasn't super clear too. Was it just a screen for you to play Wii games on while someone else uses the TV? That's neat, but it's not really worth all that money. If people thought it was just an accessory, it was not a very cool accessory.
And not worth, like you're saying, not worth $350 for the good version of said accessory. Right. So another problem they had was third-party games, as in they were lacking third-party games. And it's important to note that in 2013, it was a bad year for the Wii U. EA announced that they had no games planned for the system and that they were dropping support of the games they had already produced. Yikes. Not good. Also, Ubisoft and Bethesda also said they wouldn't make games for the console anymore. This is in 2013. It's all happened in 2013. And here's a quote from Peter Hines. He is the vice president of marketing, I believe, at Bethesda. Quote, "It depends on the games that we are making and how we think it aligns with that console and how the hardware aligns with the other stuff we are making. And if you know anything about Bethesda games," and I'm not quoting end quote there, I guess, after making, but Bethesda games are all about really great graphics on these crazy, awesome solo RPGs. If you look at Fallout and Elder Scrolls, and they couldn't do that on the Wii U. So it's no brainer why they left. And so I think this goes under the category of the Wii U ain't got no games.
Yeah,
except for
Wii
first
U ain't
party.
got no games.
Except for Nintendo games.
There were a lot of Nintendo games. I want to speculate again. Welcome to Tyler's Speculation Corner.
Welcome back to Spec Talk.
Yeah, welcome back to Spec Talk. Different kind of Spec Talk. I think releasing it at the end of the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era with only marginally more power, made it tough for publishers and developers to really make a strategy for how to make games for it. They also had this problem with the original Wii, I think. If you go back in time to 2006, 2007, 2008, you'll notice that most of the games that were published on all three platforms were almost always kind of hobbled on the Wii. So like your Modern Warfare came out a couple of years later and it had not as good of graphics. The controls were kind of weird. Like it was definitely a kind of a different game. And generally that version of the game was not the best version of the game. It was just kind of the Wii version for the people who had a Wii and nothing else. In the Wii's day, the publishers didn't know this was going to be the case. They had no idea if they should make games for the Wii or not, so they just kind of did to find out. Even though the Wii itself sold like hotcakes / gangbusters.
All the terms.
Yeah. And it was an anomaly in that sense. So it was like, because the Wii sold so well, it became worth to make even to make it like a marginally less awesome game, because there were enough people who bought a Wii that it would make it eventually worth it, that people would buy these games. But the Wii U was not a runaway success like the Wii was. And publishers had already been kind of burned by their Wii ports, because by the end of the Wii's lifespan, it became sort of clear that like it was not worth it to make a watered down version of the game for the Wii. It's not going to sell super well. It's basically has to be a whole new game. It's just not really worth making it. So as publishers moved on to the PS4 and the Xbox One, and they left those older consoles behind, the Wii U came out and was like, hey, I am basically as powerful as a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360. And it was a little better than that, but it was no Xbox One or PS4. And so publishers, they're already making their games on the PS4 and the Xbox, and they're looking at the Wii U and they're going, we can't water this game down to make it work on the Wii U. And it's not going to be worth it because the Wii U's not selling very well anyway. So the Wii U ended up like not being able to capitalize on third-party publishers who were already making games for the PS4 and the Xbox One. They weren't going to they would have to make different games for the Wii U. And so it became this sort of vicious cycle where the Wii U didn't sell because it ain't got no games. It ain't got no games because it's not selling. And it just was tough, and people didn't buy it because by the end of the Wii's lifespan, a lot of people's Wiis had sort of become like just a Netflix machine, and they were like, well, I don't need another Wii to watch Netflix on.
Yeah, so that's actually what ended up happening to my girlfriend's Wii. We played a lot of Mario on it, and then it just became like another Netflix tool.
Yeah, and it's, people look back on their Wii, they don't go, oh, that was totally not worth it. They were like, oh, I had a lot of fun with that, but I'm done with it now. And the Wii U wasn't like a promise to be like, oh, you're totally going to have more fun with me again. It was just like, oh, it's another Wii. I'm good. So
yeah, I think when we talk about the Switch, we'll see what they've done, what they did to make it stand out, and how much it really just like they learned their lesson from the Wii U, I think.
Yeah, but I think I think they figured out their strategy. So back in the days of the original Wii, I think Nintendo changed their strategy to not compete on hardware, because they realized that in the GameCube, Xbox, PlayStation 2 era, that was the only differentiator between those consoles was hardware. Like what was the most powerful and like what would have the games that I wanted. And Nintendo realized like maybe there's not room for 3 players in this like hardware specs race. So we're going to go and do something different. We're not going to make a super powerful console. We're going to try to sell based on other things. It worked for the original Wii. The value proposition for buying an inferior console, hardware wise, I don't mean game wise, but an inferior console in the Wii U time, just the differentiator wasn't there. It wasn't worth it. The gamepad like didn't offer enough new experiences to really make that worth it. So I think they stumbled there on the Wii U, but they figured it out with the Switch, which is selling like hotcake gangbusters.
Hotcake
gangbusters. Yep. So that's what I think. I think they're really figuring out there that they need to serve a niche and serve an audience that's not being served by those other guys. And that's where they're figuring it out. They couldn't do that with the Wii U. They could do it with the Wii, and I think they're doing it with the Switch currently.
Yeah, so next week we'll talk about Wii U games.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. But first, Tyler, what have you been playing?
I have been playing a lot of Switch games. Pokemon Let's Go. Pikachu Edition. I finally beat the Elite Four. And
take that, Elite Four.
Yeah, I got him. I'm going to go try to catch Mewtwo. Maybe I need to do a lot of level grinding, because back in the day, when you wanted to go catch Mewtwo, you just hold on to your Master Ball that you got at Silphco, right? It didn't matter how good your whole team was. You just show up at Mewtwo, and you just throw the ball before you even got a chance to do anything, and you just catch him. And it was like, easy peasy, got my Mewtwo. But in Pokemon Let's Go, all of those one-time encounter Pokemon, like Zapdos, Articuno, Moltres, and Mewtwo, you have to fight them and beat them before the game will allow you to try to catch them, which I think is ultimately a better system. But this level 70 Mew is one-shotting my whole party. And
Oh, wow.
I'm really not about to try to grind up to get to that point. So maybe I'll come back to it later, but I think I'm done with Pokemon Let's Go for now.
Yeah, is there some sort of online trading functionality with Pokemon Let's Go?
Yes, there is. And in fact, I had to use it yesterday because I was having trouble with the Elite Four. My Kadabra just wasn't cutting it. And I was like, I need this Kadabra to evolve into an Alakazam. How am I going to do that if I don't have any friends that play Pokemon? Because in order to evolve Kadabra to Alakazam, you have to trade him. So I went online, found a Discord server of like-minded individuals who like to play Pokemon, and I said, put out a little request like, hey, will somebody take my Kadabra and trade it back to me after it has evolved? And they were very nice, and they said yes, and we did it, and I got my Alakazam, and I beat the Elite Four. It was awesome.
Dude, I forgot how much Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam are crucial to your team in Pokemon Red, Blue, Let's Go, Yellow, whatever.
Yeah.
So, because Let's Go is a version of Yellow that's redone, correct?
Yeah, it's loosely based on Pokemon Yellow. I mean, there's a lot of differences, but the town layouts are all the same. It's all original 150 Pokemon that you encounter, all that kind of stuff. So it's very much a reimagined, but I love it. I think it's really great.
I think it's a beautiful homage to old Pokemon games from our childhood, and they really knew how to get me. Oh man, I want to switch so bad. All right, I'm actually looking, and when Costco gets that bundle in, that's the only way you can get a deal is at Costco, and you can get like $20 off because Amazon doesn't have them anymore.
Nope.
At all. I forgot to mention, by the way, another cool thing about that Zelda HD thing is you can still buy it new. Did you know that?
Oh, really?
On Amazon. Yeah, it's just $800 from Nintendo. It's being sold from Nintendo for $800.
They're selling it on eBay?
No, on Amazon. It says
on Amazon.
New. It says brand new from the seller is Nintendo, and it's $800.
No. Really? Wow, that's crazy.
Here, I'll pull it up because I looked it up earlier and I was like, what? There's no way this thing is like that. Yeah, here. I actually have the Amazon link still here, I think. But I was just like, yeah, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD Deluxe set for Nintendo Wii U. By Nintendo, $800. Free shipping, 2 left in stock.
Huh. Wow, okay.
Yeah, did you find it? Here, I'll send it to you over Discord. But
I found it. $899.
Oh, here, it's actually, that's the search I just sent you, but the first one on there is from Nintendo for $800. And then it has more buying choices, and it says 33 used from 123. But yeah, I just thought that was really funny because I'm like, Nintendo sells it, but they know how much it's worth for some, because someone's going to pay for it. It says here,
ships and sold from Target Express. So it's
so the buy Nintendo doesn't necessarily mean
that just means Nintendo made the console, which is true.
That's
Target Express. Is that actual Target or is that something different? I think
sounds dicey to me. Sounds like someone was holding on to this for a long time because they knew it would go way up in price and they could get that money. All right.
Well, I guess they're doing it.
So what have you been playing? Any other Switch games? You said you played some other ones, right?
This morning I picked up Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle again. I think I've talked about that before and how much I love it. It's like a tactics strategy game. It's very fun. I'm on a really hard boss right now and it's frustrating me, but it's cool. I really enjoy it. Highly recommend Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
I hate frustrating bosses, man.
Yeah. That's all right. But that's about it. I mean, we've been playing Destiny, but...
And then the childhood thing, as always, is to take a break and then come back to it, and then you like beat it the first try. It's classic. I think I mentioned it last week, but I'm not sure. I beat Titanfall 2. It's an amazing game, and the campaign's wonderful, and everyone needs to play it. And that's my vote on it. I don't want to say anything else. Tyler, when you get a chance, play that game.
Titanfall 2. All right.
Titanfall 2 campaign. It's like 8 hours long, maybe 9 to 10 if you take your time with it. I kind of was just like, I didn't get it, like do any collectibles. I didn't search for collectibles. If I saw them, I picked them up, but I just kind of went through the story.
You didn't go out of your way.
Yeah, and I had a really good time with it. That game's great. I also played 2 new games for me, but they're old games for you, Tyler. Does that make sense? That was a weird way to say that. There are ports on Xbox One of Star Wars Republic Commando and Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. And they were both
Nice.
free. They were Xbox Gold games with gold. Picked them both up, found them, downloaded them, and I played both of them. And the one that ages the best is Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. It's like one of those games where I'm like, why didn't they remake something like this? And I'm like, oh, they did. It was called Star Wars Force Unleashed. But we need another game like this. But I think that new Fallen Order game that's supposedly going to come out in the fall is going to scratch this itch. You know what I mean?
I hope so.
So I will say it's really fun. The Star Wars Republic Commando, it was probably a great game at the time, but it didn't age well, and the controls are kind of clunky, especially on an Xbox One controller versus an Xbox controller. Like finding out what they replaced the black and white buttons with, because it was an Xbox original game. And I had the same problem with the with Jedi Academy as well, where I was like couldn't figure out what the controllers were, and then I just looked it up on the game, like the controller layout, and it said black and white buttons, and I'm like, I don't have those on an Xbox One. What are you telling me? So, but they were really fun. And then I've been playing a lot of Apex Legends, and I've been playing a lot of Destiny with you because it's been really fun to play the story mode. The story things are great in Destiny 2, but I am very over that Gambit grind, so it's very hard to get back into it again. But other than that, it's been pretty great, man. I also beat New Super Mario Bros. 2 on my 2DS, so I'm going back to Pokemon Ultra Moon. So I've been playing a lot. I've been playing a lot of games lately. I've been happy with it. But just like little snippets. I'm not like hardcore trying to beat anything, which I think is the way I like it. Because when I get that in my head where I have to beat a game, I stop having fun and it starts feeling like work. And I'm trying to avoid that. So
Yep, I get you.
But this was a fun episode. I had a really great time talking about the Wii U with you, Tyler.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about games because I had a Wii U. I loved my Wii U. I actually have kind of a funny story about how I purchased a Wii U that I will tell next week.
Excellent. Do you still have your Wii U?
Yes, I do.
Ooh, that's great. I love it, Tyler. I love it. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. As always, you can email us at Codex. It's codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. I don't want to put the @ in front of it because it's confusing, like Twitter. But Tyler and I are both on Twitter. I'm at MeColetta, and Tyler's at Sneaker Elf with the ELPH. And it would be fun if you tweeted at us. Also, you can tell your friends about the podcast. That really helps out a lot. You can do all that rate, review, and subscribing stuff they talk about on Apple Podcast or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts. That means the world. And thank you so much for listening. And bye, everybody.
Bye.
This has been a Podaholics Comedy Network presentation. Podaholics.com